You are listening to the Sports and Sorts podcast.
Deep to left field. Going back choice. Looking up. See ya. 3,000. History.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
Yes! Welcome back to Sports and Sorts. This is episode 129. That's it. That's all I got. This is a great show today. We've got a great show today. We are going to be talking about all sorts of sports and maybe some sorts. We'll see. We'll see where this show gets us. My brother, no, not my brother. My son is off in the corner kind of making fun of me right now. I'm talking and he's going... So I got that going for me. But other than that, you can find this show anywhere podcasts are played, iTunes, iHeartRadio, all that stuff, www.sportsandsorts.libsyn.com. And we got tons to talk about today. NFL, Thursday night football recap. Sunday's coming up tomorrow. Got lots of football. I'm going over to the Bryman's, have some wings, have a little beer. My brother's coming with us, coming with me. And we are going to go over there, and he's going to talk a little. And I'm getting a cupcake thing from my daughter. So
very
look at
nice.
that, huh? This is like an ice cream cone. It's like a mini ice cream cone.
Is that a Shopkin?
Is this a Shopkin thing?
They look like It looks like a Shopkin. No, it's not a Shopkin.
You're just wrong.
No?
You don't have a 5-year-old anymore. So
You're right. I don't.
it's
an ice cream.
It's a Barbie one.
Oh, it's an ice cream Barbie accessory.
Yes.
Very good. Very good.
All right, so we got a lot to talk about. NFL Week 7's upon us. We'll talk about that. We will get into Sunday Night Football. Also, maybe a little NBA if we have the time. So, your hair is crazy right now. But you're still beautiful.
At her. She's still cute though.
Here, I'll even put it on my big screen. Oh, there you are. Did you see yourself?
Oh, look how cute she is. Well, I mean, listen, it's an old joke, but it's relevant here. Your daughter clearly's got your wife's looks. Sorry.
I'm not gonna lie. All right, Isla, we have a show to do now. I know you like being on camera, and
let her sit in. She'll add some.
There's dozens and dozens. Well, it's very distracting, having this very cute child next to me.
Yeah.
Hug
see,
and snuggle and kiss.
It's much more fun for me to see you on the other side of it. If it was me right now and one of my kids was bothering me,
your blood pressure would be like mine.
Well, I'd be like, first of all, you have to get off camera because your mother will kill me. Because you don't put our kids on Facebook or anything like that, so I'd be getting all that crap. Like, why? And Melissa would be upstairs, like, why is Belle on camera with you? Yeah.
Sorry, my son's now begging me for root beer at 10 o'clock in the morning, which this is.
We want to remind our listeners, two of them who are watching actually right now, that on Saturday mornings it's a little bit lighter of a show. We take it down a little. It's not the full professional show that you get on Monday and Wednesdays. We really like to, we like to bring the kids in. We like to bring the donuts in, props, whatever,
Yeah.
We really carrot top it on Saturday,
My coffee mug from Friends, crap bag.
Yes, there you go.
All sorts of good stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got a great show.
Do we?
So let's go. No.
You are listening to Sports and Sorts with Shane and the Bryman.
Oh, hot mess today. Hot mess. Heated mess. I didn't even share it on my personal page yet. So, did you do that yet or no?
It's not helping.
Yeah. All right. So we got a lot to talk about today. We'll start off with the things that we are blessed with. One thing that we are blessed with is a great thing, and the other thing is it's a not what you want thing, as the great Joe Girardi has said. The NLCS is going to have a Game 7, which is great for baseball. It's great for FS1 and its ratings. Just overall entertainment, great. Then, on the other hand, you have the Red Sox in the World Series. And we don't have to say much here. You know, they have seemed to get their act together with their blow pen that I have kind of coined as here. Thanks for the help that Max Holiday, a friend of mine, had actually started that trend with the blow pen. And this is now more of a bend, don't break pen. And even though this really isn't the same pen as the regular season, which Alex Cora, he has to be applauded for, recognizing he had this problem, having a game plan on how to fix this when the games really count. And even if it's a quick fix, like with flex tape or something like that, it's working now.
Sure.
And who knows what the ramifications will be next year. But, most organizations, particularly the Red Sox, they've done this many occasions. They have burned out their closers in the playoffs, and they have done things like that in the past. And they have a win-at-all-cost mentality, which a lot of organizations do. And what they're doing right now is working. And I am actually I'm pretty much in an agreement with Brian that it just feels like the Red Sox are going to win it all. The calls are going the way. Their two worst hitters are MVP candidates, and like Jackie Bradley Jr. and Christian Vasquez. The writing seems to be on the wall here. But the thing that drives me a little bit crazy with that series is, Joe West, and we have kind of talked about on multiple occasions with the umpires getting in the way of the game. And Joe West is notorious for this. And it almost makes me feel like I know the umpires have a union. But like, do umpires get tenure or something like that? Because like he seems to do this a lot. He seems to get in the way of the game, and the game becomes about him. What he should have done is he should have let the play out, because he had no idea. He can't see from where he was. He had no idea. He should have let it play out and then go to replay. Because yes, I can understand how it could not be overturned, because it's not that conclusive. The camera angle that they had that was the best was blocked by a security guard, and they just don't have cameras everywhere like you think they do. So things like that happen, but you need to let plays play out. You need to have a Jose Altuve, who is an MVP player, hitting a ball to another who's probably going to be the MVP this year, Mookie Betts. You need to let them make the plays. And if they don't, they don't. If they do, they do. Let it play out and then go to replay afterwards. Don't be the umpire that gets in the way of the game. And that's my biggest problem with the umpires.
And Joe West has literally gotten in the way. Remember a couple of weeks ago, he took a line drive off the chest that he could not be bothered to move. By the way, he could. And I'm sorry, I saw that play. He could have moved.
Oh, of course he could have.
I mean, I know he's a fat tub of lard, but he could have moved a little bit to his left and avoided that ball. Instead, he was just like, I'm going to take this one off the chest. I'm not moving. And he started movement to the left or right, and I may have heart attack number 12 or maybe a baker's dozen for him, but who knows? But the thing with this call,
he's like all those guys with Saturday Night Live.
He's Farley.
Chris Farley.
But the thing with the Altuve robbery is that he's incredibly out of position there. He was 100 or more feet away from that when he made that call, and there's no way he had the right angle. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't there 6 umpires in the playoffs for every game? Shouldn't there be? Isn't there a right field? Isn't there an umpire down the right field line? And if it is Joe West, who's that umpire who's down the right field line, how is he that far out of position? I don't understand. He was as out of position as you could possibly be to appropriately make a call there. Now, look, I will agree with you in that, and I'll agree with anyone out there who says there is no definitive evidence. You're right, there really isn't. We've seen as many angles as we can see. The one angle that would have probably given us as definitive an answer was blocked by the security guard in the black shirt. We know that poor guy. He's I don't even know what he is. He's like a modern day equivalent of Steve Bartman, maybe. I don't know. I mean, he's really not. He's just the wrong place at the wrong time. But the bottom line is, yes, I will grant you that there was no definitive angle. In my opinion, was that fan interference? I do not believe so. I don't think so. I think it was a lucky break for the Red Sox. I think they got one there that went their way. And, fine. Good for them. I mean, it is. It's one of those years. Look, there have been, and I hate to say this because I just, we all know how it's going to play out. There have been 4 years where I have said partially through at some point through the season, it's usually sometime after the All-Star break, where I have said about the Red Sox, there's been 4 years, this is one of them, where I've said, if this Red Sox team does not win a World Series, they'll never win it. And every one of those, well, at least three, the first three that I've said, they've won the World Series. I've said it about them this year. They're going to win the World Series next week. It's going to happen. I have like zero doubts about it. This is a coronation for them right now. To me, it was a coronation at the beginning of the postseason. I saw it coming a mile away. I know we didn't actually predict the ALCS outcome, but if we had, I actually would have said Red Sox in 5. And I know that might sound a little crazy because of the way the Indians were, I think a lot of people because of the way the Astros were playing, having beat the Indians the way they did, swept them 3-0, looked like champs, looked like world beaters again, and then they just kind of got rolled over here by the Red Sox. And look, here's the thing about the Joe West call. Does it change the outcome of that game? We don't know because the Astros lost that game by 2, so it would have been at best a tie game.
Right.
So I don't know that it changes the outcome of the series. I mean, I thought the Red Sox were going to win the series regardless. And look, they won it in 5. It's kind of hard to me, what might be just as big or at least an alternate story here is what the heck is going on? Like, what is going on with guys illegally being in other teams' dugouts? That's something that I want to know about. What is going on here? Like, you're seeing these stories. Now they're saying there's a story, and they're not even confirming who it was that was in whomever's dugout. But apparently there was a person was illegally removed from one of the dugouts in the American League Division Series between the Yankees and the Red Sox. They're just not saying who it was. Now, if I had to put money on this, I'm guessing it was a Red Sox spy that was removed from the Yankees dugout because we already know that the Red Sox have a history of trying to steal signs.
Oh my God.
This goes back to Applegate last year, and I'm sure you remember that, where everybody's favorite little hero, Dustin Pedroia, who is an absolute wolf in sheep's clothing. And I hate the narrative that he's some kind of good guy and he's this tough, hard-nosed little player.
He is.
You know what?
He is a hard-nosed little player.
He is, but he's a cheater. He is. He was actually the guy who was instrumental in that whole Applegate thing. I mean, he was the guy relaying the signs.
Yeah.
To the batter. So I would like to know a little bit more about this kind of stuff that's going on. And I know that there might be people who listen to our show consistently who will roll their eyes when I sit here and I start to talk about cheating scandals.
They are more than welcome to put their comments in the comment section below, and we will put them on the show. I have no problem, talking about it.
And I have no problem retorting it because luckily I have this thing called the burden of proof on my side. But you know what? I mean, the bottom line is there is a lot of this crap that's going on in Major League Baseball right now. And how does somebody sneak into another team's dugout and start stealing signs in their dugout?
I don't know.
How does that even happen?
I don't know.
And look, I'm sorry, but if I'm putting money on it, I'm putting my money on the Red Sox being the team that planted somebody in the Yankees dugout. Because let's be honest, Boston-based teams, whether it's football or baseball or whatever, have a history of doing this kind of crap. But how does that happen? Like, does Aaron Judge just suddenly turn to his right and say, "Hey, who's this guy in the dugout? Who the hell are you? And why are you in our dugout?" And then, of course, Aaron Boone, come on, hey, what are you doing over here? I mean, I don't know. What is I even posted something, I think either on Facebook or Twitter the other day, quoting Vince Lombardi with what the hell is going on out here? How is this happening in modern day baseball where there are opponent spies in your dugout?
I don't know, man.
Where's my point?
Going back to what happened with Joe West and all that kind of stuff, I just want to read something that I respect this guy. I think he's a very good baseball. He has good baseball knowledge. I like listening to him on the show that he does on MLB on the MLB Network channel on XM and all that kind of stuff. But Casey Stern, he posted on Twitter right after it. We just read the rule here. Clearly states no interference when the player reaches into the stands on its own. Only when the fan reaches onto the field.
Into the field of play, yes.
Right. And unfortunately, we didn't really get a lot of...
No, so in that case, you have to go with the umpire's call.
Right. And so that is with that ruling right there, I agree with what he said. But the problem is, baseball needs to do something about it. Because when you have a ball coming at you as a fan, you've had a couple of beers. Even if you haven't.
Beer.
You are excited. You are very excited to catch a home run ball. You're not, as a fan, you're not a professional athlete. You can't think in the actual moment and be like, oh, I might be blocking this guy who's going to jump 3 feet off the ground, 4 feet off the ground and come up. It's just instinctive to reach out and catch the ball. Like, you're not going to just let it come to you and hit you in the stomach or something. You are going to reach out. So either Major League Baseball, and this might happen, ends up taking the first row of seats out of play and then putting up some sort of bar or net or something like that to alleviate all this.
And you need to have cameras now too, I think.
I know, but it's just that is one of those things that they can always be obstructed. It's just one of those things that they can always be obstructed.
That's true. Actually, if you have the bar, and you do have like a row there, you probably don't need the camera then.
Like if you put the bar back about 3-4 feet from the wall, you can't get to the wall. Like,
the only way, actually, what you could do is you could have the camera be like up a little higher on the foul pole and pointing down, and you still won't cut off the line. And then there's almost no chance. There's no chance of obstruction there if it's up in the foul pole.
Yeah, but then you run the risk of having a camera hit with a foul ball, and it's just there's so much. There's just so much.
Of course. And then is the camera part of the foul pole if it hits the camera?
It's gonna be just
because that'll happen too because the sports gods always find a way.
And it'll be like the tuck rule, like
right. The tuck rule, one of my favorites.
All right, so that's all I really have for the Red Sox game. That was it really took the wind out of the Astros. It took them a while to start building up some momentum again. By then it was way too late. But anyway.
I think the only thing that maybe, if you're a Red Sox fan, the one thing you could really probably hang your hat on there is that, look, that did happen, but the Astros did come back and were actually leading that game.
Yes.
So it was, you can blame the Astros. The Astros have blame here too. They came back, they got past that mental hurdle. It's not like they got down 2-0, stayed down. They came back. They fought back. They took the lead. If you're the Astros, you got to hold on to the lead.
The Red Sox have done one great thing this year, and then this is something that they have done better than any team in the league, and that is something that I've noticed just from an outsider looking in. Like, I don't watch them on a regular basis, but I have noticed with highlights and everything like that, they are masters at when your other team scores, like if they take the lead, if they score
they
three,
come right back.
If the other team scores 3 runs, they're going to score at least 2 the next inning. They come right back and they close that gap, and then they come back the game, a couple innings later, and they score another 2, and then they retake the lead. They're just masters at being able to counterpunch. Look, masters at it.
If we kind of said this all year, right? If the Yankees were the Glass Joe of baseball teams, the Red Sox are Lil Mac. They can take a beating, but they can keep coming back. They can keep powering up, and they keep coming back.
That's a good Mike Tyson reference.
I wanted to get a little punch-out reference in there. But, but they really are, though. The Red Sox are – but of course, the difference here, too, is that the Red Sox are not
Aaron Boone Soda Popinski?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know where that goofy Aaron Boone imitation came from.
Is Luke King Hippo? Luke, big burly man. All right. So anyway, as far as the series that we have now, Los Angeles and
we got a Game 7, baby.
It's great. I can't wait, and I will like the World Series much more if it's LA versus Boston, because we get it all. We get superstars, big names, big teams on the screen, on the big screen. One of the greatest pitchers of the last decade on the big stage against Boston.
Who I imagine will be available tonight.
Exactly, and it just lends itself to big ratings and a fun series. Hopefully, if the Brewers get there, I actually have a little interest because I don't really like the Brewers rotation. I know that a lot of between you and Damien and a lot of other baseball fans are really rooting for the underdog, the Brewers, to get there. But I have little interest. I don't like the rotation. I only like 2 pieces out of their bullpen, maybe 2.5 if you have Corey Knebel in there. But Yelich has played like a bum, and they are just a boring team to me. And I know I'm pulling for the Dodgers to come through, on which I am assuming, as you said, will be an all-hands-on-deck approach for Dave Roberts tonight.
It has to be.
The fact that Buehler is starting Game 7, Buehler is starting Game 7 is absolutely mind-boggling to me. But if he's got great stuff, so he could shut down any particular team in any particular game. He needs to give them 4 to 5 really good innings tonight. So that they have a legit shot to win this. If he can do that, this is going to be great. I am assuming that in a tight game, whether they have a 1-run lead or are they losing by 1, that Kershaw will be in the game at some point in time, and hopefully still be able to pitch Game 1. That's what they really want.
When is Game 1? Tuesday or Wednesday?
I think it's Tuesday. I think.
Okay.
It's gonna be tight. It's gonna be tight.
It will be. Yeah. I mean, he could maybe give you 2 innings tops.
Yeah, I would say you probably only get 1. Because they don't. You do not want to. You don't want to hurt Kershaw. I mean, he's got a bad.
Well, that
back
too.
and all that
I
stuff.
mean,
so, you just want to make sure that this is kind of like the day that he would come out and throw on the side. So he's going to give you effort anyway, but this is different effort. This is Game 7 of an NLCS. Right. And if he pitches well, granted, if he pitches well in this game and he gives you more than 1 inning, he pitches 3, and he pitches shutout baseball, he could potentially be the MVP, even though he pitched 1 bad game. Because he pitched a masterful game.
Well, he pitched a masterful, yes.
Game
4,
5. Or was it Game 5? That's right.
It was Game 5, yeah.
So that's something that he could do. Other than that,
I'm still rooting for the Brewers because this was my World Series pick going into the postseason. It was Red Sox over Brewers in 5 games. So, I mean, for me, I'm all in on the Brew Crew. It doesn't matter. I mean, to me, it really honestly doesn't matter because I don't care about the national TV matchup of it all. Yeah. And honestly, neither one of these teams is going to give the Red Sox a series. Either way, I would predict the Red Sox in 5. Even if it's the Dodgers, I'm still saying Sox in 5.
Okay.
So, and I'm not even sure that the Red Sox are going to lose a game in this World Series. For the Red Sox, in a lot of their championship runs, it gets anticlimactic in the World Series. It's the ALCS that's always been the real true climax of the postseason story for them. More often than not, when they've gone into a World Series, I don't think they've ever even been pushed in a World Series I think the Cardinals pushed them 1 year to 6, but it was never one of those ones that was in doubt. I mean, the Red Sox have generally rolled in the World Series. They swept the Cardinals in 2004. Their second one, which I think was over the Rockies, they won in 4 or 5. I think the Cardinals pushed them to 6. And now I don't.
Whoa, that was loud. Holy cow.
I don't see any team pushing the Red Sox to any more than 5 in this one. The Red Sox are just too good. They're completely built for the postseason.
That scared the bejesus out of me. Was that loud on your end?
Yeah, but I just powered right through it. It was like it didn't even happen.
You're just so in the zone. All right,
bro.
All right, so that's pretty much it for baseball. I mean, let us know who you got going tonight. Brewers versus the Dodgers. Who do you have winning? I am taking the Dodgers because I want the Dodgers to win. This game has been a coin toss. I mean, this whole series has been a coin toss. So I'm hoping that the Dodgers win tonight. I want to see them go against Boston. I think it's great for baseball if they do that. And then I hope that because there is, respect and admiration for people that are excellent. And Kershaw has been so excellent throughout his career. And yes, he has had some stinkers in the postseason, but he's also pitched masterfully in the postseason as well. It's not hit or miss for him because it's more hit than miss, but he has had some bad games, particularly against the Cardinals. But I really want to see him pitch well on the big stage and really shut teams down and really solidify his role in legacy as far as greatest pitchers of all time goes.
If he wants to do that, he could do it in this World Series, because if he could get a couple of starts, and if the Dodgers were to win this game tonight,
beat the team that had most wins in the league, and
then he will have really, really cemented his legacy without a doubt.
Yeah.
But it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
All right, so that's pretty much it for this on Talk on Baseball. If you have anything you want to mention about baseball, go ahead and put it in the comments, and we will revisit it. We got about another 30 minutes or so before we're going to be signing off. But we're going to get into some football right after this, Thursday night football recap. Then we're going to get into Sunday and Sunday night football picks. And then we'll see if we can get maybe a touch of NBA. I think the Bryman's ex-boyfriend Kawhi Leonard went into and beat the Boston Celtics last night.
That was enjoyable for me. I mean, it was bitter. I should say it was bittersweet, but
yeah,
but it was more sweet than bitter.
All right, good. All right, so I will be right back after this, and we'll see you in a few seconds.
Gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
Sports and Sorts with Shane and the Bryman. 75% sports and 25% sorts.
All right, so we are back. Actually, my brother's actually going to be he's going to be talking to me soon about the next commercial that he's doing for us. He says he's got some things rumbling around in his head. He's going to probably try and film it a little bit next week. So I have no idea what's going on, no clue. He is a director, and I let him use his vision. And I'm trying to use him a little bit to collaborate on some stuff, like doing some more, maybe some, short promotions to have that we can throw out to other shows and things like that, and put on our Facebook page and all kind of stuff. So, we got some stuff in the works, and I'm excited about it. Taking this low class operation to the next level where we're approaching middle class.
Okay.
Lower middle class. All right. So anyway, let's get into some football, because we got to talk football. Boom, 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 boom. We have Thursday night football recap. We don't have to get into this much, because
we should probably avoid this as much as possible. That game
sucked. It was so bad. Cardinals fired their offensive coordinator after.
Yeah, Mike McCoy gone.
Yep. The Cards are going to be a pretty good team in the future. Don't worry about it. But, they need to fix some things before they're a legit team. The only thing that really stinks is that there's no way that Larry Fitzgerald, who is 35 years old, will be around to see it through. But sometimes you're just not lucky enough to be on a team to win a championship. I do like Josh Rosen.
True.
I like Josh Rosen a lot. I think he's going to have a very good career as long as they can patch up their O-line and get him another option to throw to. But Thursday Night Football, that game was brutal. But it was good because I was able to catch up on Flash and Arrow on the CW. So thank you. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
I'm all caught up on those too. Yep.
Yeah, I appreciate the brutal Thursday Night Football game. Unfortunately for the NFL Network, that was not good.
And boy, did we both pick that one wrong.
Oh, my gosh, yeah. I was like, because Von Miller came out. And, a lot of these players, they say stuff, and they're like, oh, yeah, we're going to come out and stomp. And they never perform. But Von Miller came out and said, oh, we're going to destroy this team. And you know what? They destroyed that team. It was absolutely it was a sack fest. They fumbles, and Von Miller was all over the field in the second half, like getting people. It was just ridiculously brutal to watch, and you can see why their offense coordinator got fired. So that's pretty much it for that. Now we'll head into Sunday, where we will give you our picks and why. And I'm going to start off, and I've decided to take my team this week, not necessarily in a victory, because I picked Andrew Luck last week, and he let me down. So there is no way Luck lets me down 2 weeks in a row.
Yes.
Buffalo is going to get trounced here. Derek Anderson, I believe, is their quarterback for the Bills this week. He just got brought into camp like a week ago. That's not a good sign. The Colts put tremendous pressure on the quarterback, and that's going to lead to fumbles. It's going to lead to interceptions and all sorts of missteps. So Andrew Luck will pick them apart and put up huge numbers. So if you're a fantasy footballer, take the Colts defense if they're available, because that's going to get you a lot of points. Start Andrew Luck. It's going to be a brutal game for the Bills, who are getting 7.5 points in this game. The Colts are at home. There's so much going against the Bills. When this has happened in the past, they beat the Vikings, obviously, which is weird. And they've had a couple of other weird wins. One other weird win. But for the most part, they've just been terrible. So I have the score being 35-12 this week. And I really feel like this game right here, this pick, is a can't miss. Like, there is no way on earth that the Bills win this game, even with the point spread.
I don't know that I agree with you on that. Because the Bills are such a weird team. And the Colts, I don't trust the Colts on offense. They're so one-dimensional. They have no running game at all. And it's all going to be on Andrew Luck's right shoulder. And I'll tell you what, I actually advised a friend of mine yesterday because she plays a lot of when she doesn't really have a great defense on her fantasy football team.
Yeah.
So like she and I talk every Friday about who she should go with. And actually this week I told her to go with Buffalo's defense because I think the Colts are such a one-dimensional team that I think for a Bills, the Bills obviously have some deficiencies on offense, but defensively they're actually a pretty sound team. And I think they can get some pressure on Luck and make them and exploit that one-dimensionalism and put some pressure on him and maybe get some sacks and turnover. I'm not saying the Bills are going to win the game, but I think the Bills defense could do a little bit of damage in this game. But anyways, all right, do you want me to do my first 1 o'clock game?
Oh, yeah, I was enjoying listening to your rant. I actually tell everybody, and I have actually been picking, as long as it's available, I pick the Packers versus the Bills defense. The Packers defense versus the Bills.
You're basically picking everybody against the Bills.
And I have done tremendous with those picks. Tremendous. Except I didn't have the Vikings obviously have a good defense, so I wasn't able to grab them. And I'm glad I didn't, because that would have been a bad game. But every other time that they've been available, I just pick whoever's playing the Bills.
Yeah.
And I've had great success with that.
I mean, that's understandable when you consider their quarterback situation.
Right.
So.
I mean, Josh Allen, it's a little different because he has a great arm, so he could potentially put up some numbers on you. Nathan Peterman?
Peterman's.
I mean, he is not. I don't even know how he's not even like a practice squad guy. Like unless you want to like really, get your defense, their egos up. I mean, I just, it's terrible. But
yep.
Bringing in a quarterback a week ago who has no idea what the playbook is, the playbook's going to be limited, and the Colts have a tremendous pass rush. Like I think they have the most sacks in the league far. I mean, they are tremendous at getting to the quarterback. So the Bills are in trouble. The Bills are in big time trouble. That's what I feel like this week. And that's good because the Colts get a win.
Sure.
The Colts get a win.
And you get a higher draft pick.
And we keep building the momentum for that draft pick for long-term success. I am all about #long-term success. All right.
I understand that.
All right, go ahead. What's your 1 o'clock game? I don't even know if that's a 1 o'clock game. I just picked it because
I think both of mine are 1 o'clock games that I'm doing. So first one, and this might be the most, I don't know if it's the game of the week. It's certainly a very intriguing matchup, and that is Saints at Ravens.
Yeah.
And here's what makes this game, I think, incredibly, incredibly fascinating to watch.
Is that you think it might be?
I think it could be.
What
do you think?
I think it is.
Okay.
You have one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time going up against the best defense in the league.
So here's what's fascinating about this game is that Drew Brees has beaten every single team he has ever played against in the NFL except for one team. There's only one team that Drew Brees has not beaten, and that is the Baltimore Ravens. He's not beaten them. That. He has never beaten the Ravens.
Good stat, Brian. Man.
He has beaten every other team ever, but not the Ravens. And you know what? I'll tell you what, it's more of a gut pick than a head pick. I'm going more heart than head, which didn't help me last week, but with the Cardinals and Broncos. But I'm going with my gut again on this one. And I think the Saints go into Baltimore and get a win here. Here's the thing about this game. Because it's sort of also, just to kind of finish up that last point, it's been the year of Drew Brees so far, right? I mean, he's passed Peyton Manning to become the all-time yardage leader, and then he is cementing himself as one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time this year. And I think right now Drew Brees is going through his checkbook and saying, all right, I checked that off. Now let's go into Baltimore and get this one win that I have not yet the one team I've never beaten in my career. Let's go get them. Yeah. And I think they do. I think it's going to be a really tight game. But the kind of the other reason I'm picking the Saints, though, is because, look, I have watched enough Ravens games because, unfortunately, I have Alex Collins as a running back. And, of course, I didn't start Alex Collins last week. And, of course, 2 touchdowns.
I had to, though. My other running back had a bye week.
He just kept letting me down, and then I sat him, and then he scored 2 touchdowns. But here's the thing with the Ravens. I don't like them in matchups against high-powered offenses because as good as their defense is, I don't look at their defense and say it's a championship defense. This isn't the same defense that had Ray Lewis or that had Ed Reed. I mean, Terrell Suggs is still around. I mean, I don't know how old he is. He may be our age at this point, but maybe older. But I don't trust.
It does seem like he's been in the league for about 30 years.
A long time. Like a long time. Like I could swear he was roaming sidelines back in like the Vince Lombardi days. But I don't know how long.
He was the Purple People Eaters back in the day.
Who knows? He just blended right in. If you look at like some film in the background, you might see it. Like, oh my God, is that him? But it's not
like Chunk too.
It's not the same. It's not the same Ravens defense. It's a good defense. I don't know if it's a championship defense. The Ravens are a good team, but here's the thing. I think the Ravens are the kind of team that if you get up on them enough, I just don't think they have the firepower to come back. And there are too many weapons in the Saints offense, regardless of location of the game, whether it's on the track in New Orleans or on the road, as long as the weather conditions aren't awful. I just don't see how the Ravens can hold the Saints to like anything under 24 points. And I think that's enough to beat the Ravens because I just don't think the Ravens have enough offensively. And maybe I'm wrong, but the Ravens, if you watch enough Ravens game, they're a very methodical kind of team. If they're going to score a touchdown on a drive, more often than not, it's probably going to take them 5 to 7 minutes to score. Whereas we know the Saints could score like that.
They can, yeah.
I mean, it's a dump off to Alvin Kamara, and he's gone. Michael Thomas gone. Mm-hmm. I mean, even there's so many weapons. Mark Ingram being back on that team is really going to help Kamara, I think, again too. So, I like the Saints in this one. I'm actually going to give them that. I think it's going to be 24-16.
Ooh,
Saints.
Yeah, I actually because I go through several games and I pick 2 of them, but. I actually had this as one of the games I was considering doing, and I actually had the Ravens winning this one just because I think that Alex Collins is going to have a big game this week.
I'm playing him this week, so I hope he does.
I think he's going to have a big game this week, and the Ravens' defense is so good, and I think that the Saints' offense is a little bit overrated because they are just like everybody's like, oh, Drew Brees, but there's a reason why he hasn't beaten this team, and it's because they play pretty hard football and they get to the quarterback and they make him uncomfortable and they're just a good defensive team. And Flacco's been playing unreal this year. I mean, not unreal, but he's been playing very good. He's
played well. I think the pressure of Lamar Jackson has upped his game a little.
He seems to play better when the pressure's on.
And you know what it is too with Joe Flacco? He's got a major chip on his shoulder this year, and maybe rightfully so. I know you're not like a Flacco guy. I love Joe Flacco is just one of my guys. Like Joe Flacco, I would take Joe Flacco over any quarterback the Dolphins have had in the last 20 years, with the obvious exception of Dan Marino, in a heartbeat.
He plays well under pressure.
He's a big game quarterback. He is as Joe Cool as Montana was. Now, obviously not with the same results, but he is as Joe Cool. I mean, he is that kind. He's got that kind of personality. And look, in the one postseason where Flacco won the Super Bowl, that postseason he threw 11 touchdowns to 0 interceptions en route to a Super Bowl MVP. Mm-hmm. All right, and that's so say whatever you want about him, but that guy's a big game quarterback.
Okay, we will move on to the next game for me. This is not a game of the week, obviously. I think Bryman actually has 2 games of the week because I think there's 2 games that are going to be really good this week, and I think he has the other one too. I do. And Dallas, I have Dallas Cowboys versus the Washington Redskins, and I feel like that Dallas is just not a good team, and they are going to get. I think they're just going to get stomped by the Washington Redskins. If you kind of like look at it like across all realms here, you like have the head coaches. I think the head coach is better. I think Gruden is actually better than Garrett, not by much, but I just don't think Garrett's a very good coach. I think you have running backs head to head. Obviously, Ezekiel Elliott is the winning that battle. But if you take quarterbacks, I'm taking Alex Smith over Dak Prescott. Alex Smith he takes care of the ball. He's very accurate, and with a team that both teams don't have stud wide receivers, but I feel like Alex Smith, because he takes care of the ball, he's going to make less mistakes. So I would take him over Dak Prescott, not by a lot, but I would take him. Wide receiver, I'm going to take the Skins because Dallas, they have a bunch of threes out there. That's all they have. It's a terrible situation there. Defense, Dallas has played pretty well on defense, but they don't have Josh Norman. They don't have Ryan Kerrigan. They don't have that. They don't have those key cogs. And yes, they've played better on defense this year, and they've played well at keeping the other team down, keeping the point total down for the other team, but not away, not when they play on the road. When they play on the road, they get beat and they don't score points. So I am going to need to see more from the Dallas Cowboys in order to give them any sort of like positivity, because I just feel like Dak is overrated. I don't think he has a wide receiver to throw to. His tight end situation's bad. His O-line is not great. Yes, they're letting him run more because they have to. They have to let him run so that they can open up those threes, those wide receivers, all those threes out there, and have a chance to actually hit some people and free up Ezekiel Elliott so they don't stuff the box on him all the time. Yeah. So they have to let him run. I
like Cole Beasley, but that guy can't be your best receiver.
He's a two tops.
If he is on the Patriots, he's a fantasy stud.
Yeah, because they're just gonna hit dink and dunk to him all day.
Dump off. Yeah.
But the Patriots have many other weapons which help that.
He's like the poorest man's Julian Edelman.
Yeah. Oh yes. Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. That's good. He is not very. He's just not great. He is like I said, at best a low end 2 wide receiver. That's just who he is. So I'm going to take the
Skins.
So the Skins they're giving up 1.5 points. I don't even expect it to be close. I think it's going to be somewhere along the lines of 30-20. I think that the Redskins are going to put up a lot of points, and I think that I don't even know if the Dallas Cowboys will score 20. I'm kind of giving them the benefit of the doubt with maybe kicking a couple field goals. Because their kicker's been good this year, so that's the only thing I can say is that maybe they score 20 points, which would be high for them on the road. I think on the road this year they're averaging about 15. So I think but I think they have figured out a little bit in how to help Dak a little bit, so that will give them a little bit more points.
Let me ask you a question, because the Cowboys are 3-3 right now.
Yes,
this is a huge game for them. If they go into Washington and win, and not dominate, because it's hard to win road games against decent teams. Mm-hmm. They go into that game and win, though. Does your opinion on that team change a little bit? Because I'll tell you what, then they'll come off a week where they destroyed bad Blake Bortles and the Jags. Mm-hmm. And then they go on the road and win a really important divisional game in Washington. Does that make you think like, oh, maybe this team is going to start to turn a corner, or do you think it's just dumb luck?
No, I don't think it's dumb luck. I think it will. I'll start keeping an eye out. I'll start paying more attention, because as of right now, the Cowboys to me they're not good. I mean, you can't win with that kind of receiving core. You just can't. And yes, Ezekiel Elliott is one of the best 3 running backs in the game. That's great. But I just don't see him. I don't see that team being that good.
Okay.
I can't. I can't take them because
I don't disagree with you. I think
Dak is a bottom 3rd quarterback in the league. Like he probably is. He's not great. But he can run a little bit. He's a big dude, so he's tough to take down. So they're utilizing that, which is going to shorten his career. Which is, it is what it is. Some quarterbacks have to do that. Cam Newton has to do that in order to have a successful career. So as of right now, I don't have any respect for their offense. Their offense is not very good because they can't utilize their best option, which is Ezekiel Elliott, to its fullest extent because they can stuff the box. And if they can't because he's running around a little bit, they still have nobody to throw to. So that's I'll if they beat the Skins I don't think are a great team either. Like they are, I think they're like a 9-7, 8-8 team. So if they beat them, that's great. The biggest thing was, beating up the Jags and their defense that was supposedly nasty. That was great. But the Dallas's defense has stepped up a little bit. They have some pass rushers. It's great. But I can't take them seriously yet.
Okay. Well, speaking of Cam Newton, that's my second game is Panthers at Eagles, another 1:00 tilt in Philadelphia.
And is that the second?
Maybe. Second game of the week. It might be. I mean, if you look at the rest of this, schedule this week, it's probably one of two. Mm-hmm. This is a tough game to call. I think this is going to be a tight game.
Yep.
I am leaning Eagles in this one, though, because I think the Eagles are slowly starting to get it back together. I think they're coming out of the Super Bowl funk a little bit. I think the malaise is starting to subside, and I think they've been in a bit of a fog. Understandably so, though, too. I mean, you start the first couple games, you're starting with Foles, and you're trying to transition back to the manliest of manly men, Carson Wentz. And I think I don't have any good. I leave those comparisons up to you. That's not for me.
No,
but
I said I wasn't going to do it this week. I didn't want to pick them this week because I got to let it. My love for Carson Wentz and my not hatred, my distaste for Cam Newton.
Yes.
I didn't want to keep doing that over and over again. So I was leaving it to you. Yeah, go ahead.
Nope. And I look. I think it's I think it's going to be a good matchup. I think this is going to be one of those games that kind of lies in the 20s, the 20-point range. And I like the Eagles in this one. I like them actually 27-23. I think it's a tight game because the Eagles defense isn't all the way back yet. They're not even actually really, I don't think, close to what they were last year, especially towards the end of last year where the Eagles defense was really, really good. But I think they're getting there. Again, they're shaking off the rust. We're in week 7 now. It's going to start coming together for them. I think it's going to start coming together for Carson.
Carson Wentz?
For Carson Wentz. It's just going to take some time.
Nothing can escape the gravity of a black hole except for Carson Wentz because Carson Wentz eats black holes. They taste like chicken. That's okay.
That's not one of your stronger ones, but okay. Did you come up with that one now? We actually lost 2 viewers while that was going on. That Carson Wentz. So I like the Eagles in this one. I like them 27-23. I think the Panthers will be able to move the ball. Yeah. I think McCaffrey will get his in this game. I think at some point Cam Newton has to start going back to Greg Olsen. And, Greg Olsen he's one more foot injury waiting to happen. It's like every play you just worry like, oh my God. Like I think I picked Greg Olsen up when he was injured early in the year on a fantasy team, but I'm afraid to start him though. Like I can't start him. I've got too many other tight end options that are better. If he was fully healthy, I'd be all on board, but
it is tough.
It's hard to trust him right now to stay healthy. I mean, if he stubs his toe, he's out for like another 6 weeks. So and I love Greg Olsen. He's a tough player. He's a good guy, too. He's one of those good NFL community guys. But you just can't trust him at this point in his career to stay healthy. And I think that's unfortunate for Cam because I think Cam could really use him. When Cam gets in trouble and there's pressure on him, that's a great safety valve. But he can't really trust that safety valve right now. Luckily for him, McCaffrey is a really great, McCaffrey's every bit the receiving threat that he is the running threat. So I like and because of that, I really like the Panthers to stay competitive in this game, but I just don't think they're going to have enough on the road going against an Eagles team that is getting incrementally better every week, and I think the Eagles hold on here in a tight one, 27-23.
I said it. I really think the Eagles are going to start getting their mojo back.
They are. They are.
They have the hangover. They had the hangover. Now they're starting to get their mojo back a little bit.
They're the cream. They're still the cream of the crop in the NFC East. And it's not even close.
They should run away with this division the way that the
without a doubt
playing this year.
Without a doubt.
And this is, and this is why I said this could also be a game of the week because I really feel like this is a must win for the Eagles. Like
Yeah.
the Eagles have to win this game to, keep the pressure on the other teams in the division.
They do.
And the Panthers,
Otherwise, you're
they
looking
don't
at a
have-
major cluster.
Panthers don't have to win because they need to beat teams like this. They need to beat the Eagles and show that they can do this on the road.
Sure.
And Cam needs to prove that he can be big and consistent. So I think this is a really good game to watch. So, all right. What else do we got here? I think we'll talk about Sunday Night Football. Let's get into Sunday Night Football because Sunday
interesting
night,
matchup.
It's a very interesting matchup. It's Chiefs versus Bengals. I believe they're in Cincinnati, right?
No, I think they're in Kansas City.
Kansas City?
I think they're in Kansas City.
I mean, I don't really think it matters because, I'm not going to get into this a ton because I love Mahomes the Clown. He is my man. I think he is awesome. But I want Red Rifle. I want Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle. I want him to win the game. I absolutely want him to win the game because that, obviously our bet that we have with Matty Ice and the Red Rifle, because the Chiefs, they have a terrible defense, and I think he's going to have a good game. I just don't see the Bengals being able to slow down Mahomes, Hill, Hunt, Kelsey. They have so many options that I just feel like they are going to put up so many points. And I just don't think Andy Dalton has the weapons to be able to utilize, for instance, like Tom Brady did. And he's not the quarterback that Tom Brady is, but he just doesn't have the Edelman, the Gordon, the Gronk. He doesn't have that. He has A.J. Green, who is big. He's a big-time receiver, but he's like the lower end of those big-time receivers because he can have weak games. Like he doesn't always have big games. He does have some secondary receivers that are starting, like Boyd is starting to show their face and starting to be good. But
Boyd's a good player. His
tight end situation is always rough because what's his face? I can't even remember his name now. He gets hurt every single year.
Tyler
Eifert, yeah. I wanted to say Croft, but that's the other guy. It's the other Tyler.
Yeah, Croft. Yeah.
Eifert always gets hurt, and he's talented, and he's great in the red zone, but he always gets hurt. And then, between Mixon and Bernard, those two guys, they are always hurt. Like one is hurt, if not, and then the other one's playing, and he's hurt. And then they can't have the consistency. If they have both of those running backs, then they have the weapons, but they never do. And Andy Dalton isn't that good of a quarterback, so I think he's good, but he's not great, and he doesn't tend to show up in huge games. So and Mahomes obviously does. He looked at, like I said last week, he looked into the abyss that was Bill Belichick and his defense. He got beat up in the first half, and you know what? He made changes and he started making plays. And he came back, he changed, and that's something that doesn't typically happen with young quarterbacks. So I'm going to say that the high-powered offense of the Chiefs are going to beat the not as talented Bengals. I'm going to say 38-28. That's what I'm going to give this score. I say the Chiefs just beat up on them a little bit. They just have too many weapons. But I do expect Andy Dalton to go for about 350, maybe 325 through the air, probably throw like 3 touchdowns, maybe have an interception. I expect him to have a good game, but I just don't expect it to be quite enough to actually get the job done.
Yeah, I'm with you here. Too many elements going against the Bengals this week. Their defensive line is good. The Bengals have a decent defensive line that can put pressure on a quarterback.
Yep.
But this is not a good matchup for them because you have a guy in Patrick Mahomes who, one, can shed blocker, he can shed guys on his own. He can make things happen with his legs. But more importantly, he's got so many dump-off options. Guys like Kareem Hunt, who, again, we talked about last week, if you had to start a team with a running back, you and I think, both had Kareem Hunt in our top 2 of guys that you would start a team with if you had a running back choice. Actually, I think, was he my number 1? He was my number 1, actually.
Was he?
Yeah, I think he was. I think he was the guy. And then, of course, Tyreek Hill is always Tyreek Hill is one of those guys who can burn you short range over the middle or, of course, deep. And I just, in the amount of time, the infinitesimal amount of time that Patrick Mahomes could get rid of the ball in, this is just a bad matchup for the Bengals. It wouldn't have mattered if it was on the road. It doesn't matter that it's in Kansas City. I think this is going to be an ugly game. I think the Chiefs are going to be a little PO'd after last week. Knowing that, especially knowing the Chiefs, if they had the ball in last week's game, that they probably would have won that game in New England. So I think there's going to be, not revenge factor, but I think they're a little pissed, and I think they're going to take it out on the Bengals. I have a similar number, but I think the gap is going to be a little bit bigger. And I actually have it 36-18. So I have them doubling up the Bengals.
Nice.
36-18.
And you get to end it right with your music, your jam. We don't have enough time to really get into the NBA, but you know what? That's something that if we have time, we'll get into it. If you guys have questions about it, we'll get to it. But it's early, and the NBA season doesn't really start until, my opinion is it doesn't really start until after Christmas.
Yeah. Because actually, those are when the best games are, too. Like, Christmas is often, like, where you get some really great games, too, you know?
Yeah, my wife's in the background trying to sneak around.
But,
yeah.
Oh, by the way,
back again.
If I want to give a little bit of quick fantasy advice.
Yeah.
After yesterday, there was news. I don't know if you saw the news. I'm sure you did. Carlos Hyde was traded by the Browns to the Jags for a 5th-round draft pick. So, in your fantasy leagues, if Nick Chubb or Duke Johnson are available in your Browns backfield, go grab either one of them. Because they're both going to get a lot of touches. Carlos Hyde was holding both of them back.
Yeah.
He's now off to the Jags. So those two guys are going to be used a lot. And here's the other thing, too. If you have Leonard Fournette, like I do in one of my leagues, that's not a good sign. Because that means, first of all, he's already been ruled out for this week.
Yeah.
And if you're making trades for Carlos Hyde, even if Fournette comes back healthy,
to be back for a while. Yeah.
It means, one, he's not expected to be back for a while, and two, even when he does come back, you can expect him to be in a timeshare. His value is shot. I wouldn't say drop him, but his value is definitely shot.
Yeah, that's rough. Roof stoof. All right, so that's pretty much it for our show. You can find us anywhere podcasts are played, as I mentioned earlier, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Spreaker, all that kind of stuff. You can find us there. You can also head over to our website, www.sportsandsorts.libsyn, that's LIBSYN.com. You can find us on Twitter at Shane and Bryman. You can find us on Facebook, where we go live every Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, Mondays and Saturdays at 9:45, and and Wednesdays at 11. And it's been closer to 10. Now even get started on Saturdays, just because, a little more relaxed, kind of just chilling. Like
so you had to go
just chilling.
you had to go to the bathroom,
You're chilling. Yeah, well, I did. I had to go to the bathroom. You had to get your pumpkin spice.
I had to get my.
There's a lot of things that needed to happen.
There were a lot of elements at play.
Yes, yeah. So we have 50 seconds to little banter, but you can find me on Twitter at @EinhornIsFinkel.
You can find me on Twitter at _Bry_man.
We will be back again on Monday to recap what we've learned from this past...
And preview the World Series.
Yes, and preview the World Series, which should be very exciting as long as it's...
Either way, Sox in 5.
Oh, God, I hope not. But it's...
you need to prepare for that, because that's happening.
It's not looking good.
It could even be Sox in 4, so...
It's not what you want.
It's not what. Speaking of, it's not what you want. Joe Girardi turned down. No, not even turned down. He didn't even want the opportunity to interview with the Reds. He's like, I'm going to stay at the MLB Network.
I wouldn't be.
He still wants to coach, but he does not want to coach the Reds.
I can't blame him.
I can't blame him either.
There is one
There's
team.
There's no reason to go coach that team.
There is one team I know he wants to coach.
What's that?
And you know it too. The Chicago Cubs. And I think he is waiting to see how the whole Madden thing plays out.
Yeah.
And then he will step in and beat the Chicago Cubs, because that's because I think that's what he's waiting for. And
do you really think they'd let Madden go?
Yeah, I don't think he's been great.
He has not.
He has not been great for that. He had a great and they even the year that they won, they
won
actually,
in spite of him.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, or despite him, I should say.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, Clint. He said good show, and then he said he had to, we have to rinse that down with Evaldi MVP. Ugh.
Hey, you know what? If you're a Red Sox fan, you deserve to get your shots in on the Yankees this year.
Yeah.
You do. It's going to happen. But just remember, the worm will turn, and at some point you'll be on the other side of it, and you'll have to hear it. And believe me, you will hear it when that happens. You'll hear it
next year. It's gonna be a fun offseason. It's gonna be a lot.
It's gonna be a fun offseason because the Yankees are pissed and they're gonna spend.
It's like
Wednesday, and they're gonna trade.
Every Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, we're gonna be talking about the next addition to the Yankees. during right after those December meetings or right around.
And
those.
I thought we talked about this briefly, and I'll just mention it very briefly. I thought Wallace Matthews, who's a writer for the Daily News, had a very interesting article about Machado. Even though I'm actually now cooling on Machado a little bit.
Yep.
He did say he thought Machado would be a great signing, if nothing else, because it would give the one thing the Yankees have not had since they had A-Rod, and that's a villain. Mm-hmm. But his reasoning behind it, I thought, was good, because he said, look, this guy will, just like A-Rod did, he'll be productive, and he will drag media attention towards him, which means he will drag media attention away from some of the other guys. He'll take heat off some of the other guys.
# true facts.
So it's that is an interesting theory. And you know what? Even though I have cooled on Machado, especially in light of his dirty play and of the fact that he basically told you he's not going to play hard, the bottom line is
because he does play hard. He just occasionally doesn't run out ground balls.
The bottom line, though, is no matter what, he's going to be productive. And here's the other thing. You know what? They are going to sign him. And the reason they're going to sign him is because they have no idea when Didi Gregorius is coming back. It could be June. It could be September. Yep. They've got no idea. It all depends on how well
sharp he's going to be. I mean,
right. That's the other thing, too. You got to figure, coming off of Tommy John surgery, I mean, for a position player, it's going to take him a month. Mm-hmm. It's going to take him a month to get back. I mean, he might be ready by September, which puts you in the stretch of which, by the way, is a tremendous acquisition that late in the season. If he comes back, I mean, imagine what that does for the lineup.
Yeah.
But I think actually Machado now becomes more of a necessity than he was certainly a week ago.
We will see.
I think they're going to get him. I really do. I think that's going to be maybe the first move that Cashman makes. It's going to cost a lot of money, but I think it's going to happen. Oh, yeah,
exactly.
peace. All right. Stay classy. We got to go.
All right. Thank you very much, and we'll see you again on Monday.
Bye.
Had to. You can find Sports and Sorts with Shane and the Bryman on iTunes or www.sportsandsorts.libsyn.com.